So let's see. I hope you cannot see from the screen. Can you see?
Yes, sir. It's blur.
It will come. It will appear. Looks like it's still blur, but let's see. It's still blur. I don't know why.
Area, which we try to make attractive and welcoming to visitors. There's
Okay, let me project it again.
is doing their work all together. In the past, a teacher from your school.
Now listen and answer questions 15 to 20.
I don't know why it still
Okay, now I'll briefly.
It still keeps showing blur, but let's manage. You have seen the originality already. So are we all watching? So with the diagram we have here, we have the main road down there. Have you seen the main road? The main road is what we have down there. Then the access road is what we have at the right side or the east side standing vertically. So if you are guessing, are we together? If even without an audio, I ask of you the location of, G. If I ask of you the location of G, you should know that when the examiner will be talking about the location of G, then they will actually start by saying, when you pass through the reception, straight to the top or to the north of it, branching to the right is, let me say, the boardroom. It's a scenario. Class, are you all following? Can you all hear me? It's a scenario I'm just making.
Yes, sir.
That assuming the boardroom is a G, and you are guessing, you should know that automatically we will start from the reception. Or they can say to the north of the corridor. To the north of the corridor, right beside the open courtyard, is the boardroom, which shares boundary with the access road. So if you don't take care, you hearing me saying to the north of what? Of the corridor. These are the corridors. Have you seen the corridor? The rows leading in between the courtyard and the rooms. If you don't take care, you hearing me say to the north of the courtyard, to the north of the corridor, passing through the north of the corridor. If you don't take care, you will mistakenly go and choose a different one. So sometimes you have to exercise patience for them to land. Class, are you getting what I'm trying to mean? So here we are seeing trees. We are seeing trees right at the west side. We are seeing open courtyard. So those are the main things they will be basing on to give the directions. So you assume, say, you entered from the reception. Now, if you want to know the position of J, they can equally say the J is opposite to the courtyard. Have you seen that, class? Stessa, have you seen what I'm talking about? J. If you want to know the position of J, they can easily say it shares, opposite doors or entrance with the courtyard. When you enter the reception, and move on to your left, it's the human resources, which is opposite to the courtyard. If you don't take care, you might think it's I, but it's actually the J that is very opposite to the courtyard in terms of entrance. Class, are you getting it? Now, it follows suit, then they come and pass through the corridor. So do you remember along the line, they made mention of corridor? That means you have to even know what corridor means. So they said that when you go to the top of the corridor, there is something just below the factory that is closer or that shares window outside. So this is the general question I'm asking. If I say that passing through the who is that? Who is that? Please mute yourself, Bento and Faustina. If I say that, I'm coming. If I say that passing through the corridor, passing through the, it's becoming blurry, right? I don't know why it's happening this way. I'm coming.
Help you to orientate yourselves around the site. As you can see, we're in the reception area, which we try to make learning area at the end.
Movement, texture.
Which can be accessed by lorry.
To 20.
Okay, let me project it again. I hope you are getting the concept. You have to guess. Sometimes you have to guess. You have to guess. So if you guess correctly, it will be the same thing you hear the examiner talking about. It will be the same thing you hear the examiner talking about.
However, there was a delay of...
It's still blurred. I don't know why. Let's manage. That's technical issue. Sometimes you might not know dealing with videos and stuff like this. But I believe that you can still manage because you have already solved it 2 times. Okay. So I was asking a question. I hope you cannot hear me. Then I said that if I say this, how are you going to mention the particular figure or the particular feature for me? When you hear me as a speaker saying that running through the corridor or running to the north of the corridor, just below the factory is, let's say, human resources, which shares window outside. What are you going to choose? Running through the corridor, just below the factory is the human resource, which shares windows outside. Bettina, that's A.
C.
Is it C?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, C. C is not bad, but that would depend on where the person have entered. You can see I just started entering the reception. Are you getting me, Bettina? Then I said, I'm still moving on. Then you heard me saying running through the corridor. So when you hear a word like running through the corridor, it's actually a corridor that is a lane or is, you know, a link corridor. You can see that this one is a lane leading to somewhere. Ideally, if you look at the site well, you can see that although there is corridor from the factory to the courtyard, but it's not as the main corridor running from what? The reception down to the top. So in that way, Bettina, you can hear the speaker saying that to the north of the corridor, that means they are actually tracing from down. To the north of the corridor, just below the factory is the staff canteen, which has a window outside. Are you getting me? So even if you want to ponder over what I'm talking about, well, Bettina, you could see that when we talk about C, the C part where you are saying is a window, it's not a window, it's a door. That's how we together, we are learning. No? Have you seen what I'm talking about?
Yes, sir.
It's a door. The projection or the hole they have created at the C is actually linking that particular place to the access road. So it means that particular room C is having 2 doors. It's having 2 doors. But when you talk about A is only having 1 door. Then they talking about window. Don't expect to see a window design. Are you getting me? You got to be creative. So they are saying it shares window outside. That means it's actually A. Any question about this discussion? As I play the audio for us to check something. Any question? Y'all okay, right? All right, so let's proceed. Let's listen to the whole thing attentively. I don't know why the projection is appearing blurry. I don't know why. Let me try again for the last time.
Ielt 16. Published by Cambridge University Press and Cambridge Assessment Self.
Then they have something a bit different.
Because shortly before they're doing their work all together night. As you can see, we're in...
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have...
Okay, so let's manage. You have already solved it, so you know the identification already.
Okay, now I'll briefly help you to orientate your...
We are first of all analyzing the coffee room. Listen attentively. We want to see why and how they got the answer for coffee room or the position or location
around the site.
Listen attentively.
As you can see, we're in the reception area, which we try to make attractive and welcoming to visitors. There's a corridor running left from here, and if you go along that...
Class, did you hear the lady saying that, as you can see, we are in the reception area? I'm teaching. I expect you to respond when I ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Did you hear them
Yes,
saying we are
sir.
in the reception
Yes,
area?
sir.
That means they have started from the reception. And they are saying that there is a corridor running from the left. This is Esther and Co. I hope you are following, Francis. There is a corridor running from the left. That means right at the reception, for you to see the corridor running from the left, you have to come out. Once you come out, don't go top, go to the left. There is a corridor running from the left. Let's continue and see what
the reception area, which we try to make attractive and welcoming to visitors. There's a corridor running left from here, and if you go along that, the door facing you at the end is the entrance to the coffee room. This looks out on...
If you go a long run, the door facing you at the end. So class, are you getting the hint? The door facing you at the end. That means down from the end of the reception, where you just left the reception, approaching the left corridor, there is a door that is facing you at the end. Are we together? And they are saying that that is the coffee room.
Take yourselves around the site. As you can see, we're in the reception area, which we try to make attractive and welcoming to visitors. There's a corridor running left from here, and if you go along that, the door facing you at the end is the entrance to the coffee room. This looks out onto the main road on one side and some trees on the other, and that'll be where you meet each morning. The factory...
Class, I hope you all heard the woman. She even said something to qualify it. What did she say? She said something about trees to qualify it. Yes, Mr. James, she said something about trees to qualify it. What did she say?
What I heard is that the room opening to the main road and trees on the other side.
Okay. So in a way, they are still telling you that that room shares, a lane or a boundary with the main road. Telling you that no matter what, the answer will be lying on the main road area. Don't go and look above. Don't go and look at D, E, C. So the whole thing, they give you the hints, but they speed. So you don't even find time to grab what they are saying. They give you the hint. So my problem with students is that once they start, you have to determine where they are starting from. If you all heard the woman clearly, she said, we are in the reception area. Then you quickly stand there. You can use your pen or pencil to just be there. We are in the reception area. Once she moves to the left corridor, then you just begin to move out of the reception area, tracing to the left. So that's how we do it, class. You trace or you move according to how the speaker is saying it. Have I made myself clear?
Yes, sir.
Now let's check the warehouse also. Let's check the warehouse.
There's a corridor running left from here, and if you go along that, the door facing you at the end is the entrance to the coffee room. This looks out onto the main road on one side and some trees on the other, and that'll be where you meet each morning. The factory is the very big room on the far side of the site. Next to it is the warehouse, which can be accessed by lorries going up the road to the turning area at the end. You can get to the warehouse by crossing to the far side of the courtyard, and then the door is on your right. Somewhere you'll...
How did you get the answer for the warehouse? Yes, Mavis. How did you get the answer for the warehouse? Yes, who else can just give us a hint quickly for time's sake? Yes. Doris, how did you get the answer for the warehouse? Monte.
Yes,
Hey, you need a banana listening. Mr. Beto, you didn't hear. Let me rewind and press play. But please, you always have to listen attentively. The speed, though, even at this side, the speed bar.
Factory is the very big room on the far side of the site, and some trees on the other. The door facing you at the end.
So here they are still talking about the coffee room. They will quickly move to the warehouse.
Is the entrance to the coffee room. This looks out onto the main road on one side and some trees on the other, and that'll be where you meet each morning. The factory is the very big room on the far side of the site. Next to it is the warehouse, which can be accessed by lorries going up the road to the turning area at the end. You can get to the warehouse by crossing to the far side of the courtyard, and then the door is on your right. Somewhere you'll be keen to find is the staff canteen. This is right next to reception. I can confidently say that the food's very good.
All right, class. What do you think helped you to detect the location of the warehouse? Mr. Bento, did you not hear the lady well? Mr. James. Mr. Francis is saying it has 2 doors. Yeah, it has 2 doors, but you have to actually detect where they are starting from. Did you all hear the lady saying you can get to the warehouse by crossing from the far end of the courtyard? Do you remember the lady was saying that?
Yes, and said 4 corners something.
He said on your right.
Exactly. Far end of the courtyard on your right. That means when you move from the reception, passing through the corridor, the main corridor, then you enter the courtyard at the right side, and you go on top of the courtyard. Then you know there is a path of the courtyard linking the factory. They are saying on the right, meaning that it could have been E. And that's why they are telling you that this time it's not E, it's C. So your duty to know that is C is actually the word right. Class, I hope you are getting what I'm trying to do. In fact, these things are just, it's something lively. You can do it. You can do it. Let's check the staff canteen quickly. Then I give you a trial question. We say bye-bye for the day. So once you hear staff canteen, it means that whatever answer that you perceive to be the answer, you choose it. You quickly write it there. It means that they have left the warehouse and they are moving to the staff canteen. Are you getting me? Normally, what will let you know that they have ended what they are speaking about is that the particular location of the thing, you will hear them giving it to you. You will see that they are about to move to the different thing they want to talk about. Don't forget, I told you that with this particular question type, the features here will be in order. Cafe rooms, warehouse, staff rooms, so and so. And they hardly paraphrase what we have here. Remember, I told you that key things like names, name of places, items, they hardly paraphrase. Now, let's
Somewhere
move on.
you'll be keen to find is the... You can get to the warehouse by crossing to the far side of the courtyard, and then the door is on your right.
And then the door is on your right by crossing to the far side of the courtyard. That means right from H. Are we together? You see, from the reception, we came to H. That means right from H, we are crossing to the far side of the courtyard. And then from the door, that's why they have also showed another door of exit. Then from the door, we go to our right side. That is C. Listen to the staff canteen.
Where you'll be keen to find is the staff canteen. This is right next to reception. I can confidently say that the food's very good, but the view isn't. The windows on one side look onto a corridor and courtyard, which aren't very attractive at all, and on the other onto the access road, which isn't much better.
Yes. What helped you to get the answer for this? What actually is the answer for that one? The staff canteen.
Jane.
Jane. What actually made you choose Jane as the answer?
The windows are facing the court. Yeah.
Access road. It says one is facing the courtyard and one is also sharing boundary with the access road.
Yes.
So with this particular area, if you don't take care, most of you will choose J. I don't know if most of you ended up choosing J. Most of you will likely choose J just for hearing that it's just beside the reception. Are we together, class? So sometimes you don't just choose the answer just for hearing just a brief description they have given about it. Wait until you hear them branching into a different thing. Let me rewind and press play for you to get it well.
Corridor and courtyard, which aren't very attractive at all, and on the other onto the access road, which isn't much better. Windows on is the staff. You can get to the warehouse by crossing to the far side of the courtyard, and then the door is on your right. Somewhere you'll be keen to find is the staff canteen. This is right next to reception. I can confidently say that the food's very good, but the view isn't. The windows on one side look onto a corridor and courtyard, which aren't very attractive at all, and on the other onto the access road, which isn't much better.
So you heard the woman saying, and the other onto the access road. In fact, if you were in a haste to choose the answer before the woman saying end, it means that you will likely choose J as your answer. And that's why normally I tell you that learn how to flow with the speakers. Although they are moving fast, but that doesn't mean that you should be too quick. Any question, Mr. Bento? I don't know if you wanted to ask a question.
Yes.
Let's find time and just go through the whole thing for you to get the concept. Let's move on. Listen attentively. We are moving to
be using the meeting room, which aren't very attractive at all, and on the other onto the access road, which isn't much better. You'll be using the meeting room quite often, and you'll find it by walking along the corridor to the left of the courtyard and continuing along it to the end. The meeting room is the last one on the right, and I'm afraid there's no natural daylight in the room. Then you'll need...
Class. This is easy. This is very simple. Yes. Bettina, how did you get the answer for this? Meeting room.
On the right side, at the end of the corridor on the right side, that's B.
Is that the only thing that helped you to choose B? They said something again. All right. All right, who else? Constance, they said something to qualify B. The answer is B anyway, but they said something to qualify B. That although it's at the right side, but they said something to qualify it more for you to get the answer easier. Wow. Let me remind them, press play.
The end. Room quite often. And on the other, onto the access road, which isn't much better. You'll be using the meeting room quite often, and you'll find it by walking along the corridor to the left of the courtyard and continuing along it to the end. The meeting room is the last one on the right, and I'm afraid there's no natural daylight in the room.
Class, do you remember that the speaker was actually showing you the kind of corridor you should pass? That when you take the corridor to the left of the courtyard. Did you hear her saying that?
Yes.
So everything is there. Yes, dear, Constance. Oh, auntie, everything is there. Everything is there. You just have to listen attentively. To the left of the courtyard, because we have two corridors in here. One corridor is on the right of the courtyard, leading to the factory. And there is a corridor at the left of the courtyard, leading towards the factory.
You'll be using the meeting room quite often, and you'll find it by walking along the corridor to the left of the courtyard and continuing along it to the end. The meeting room is the last one on the right, and I'm afraid there's no natural daylight in the room. Then you'll need to know where some of the offices are. The Human Resources Department is at the...
So class, what actually did the woman said to qualify the B, the meeting room? After saying it's at the right side, she said something. She says she's afraid there is no natural daylight. And the reason why she's afraid there is no natural daylight is that the room A, which is at the left side of the corridor, is closer to the plants and the outside environment. So they will be receiving the natural daylight. But B will hardly receive it. Is it difficult or cheap? Let's check the other one. It's tricky, right? It's tricky. Yeah, it's tricky. So it's consistency that breaks resistance. But when we are done with the listening, I will be giving you more assignments to do. Don't worry. All right. So let's see.
Front of this building. So you head to the left along the corridor from reception, and it's the second room you come to. It's Resources Department, and I'm afraid by walking along Access Road, which isn't much better. You'll be using the meeting room quite often, and you'll find it by walking along the corridor to the left of the courtyard and continuing along it to the end. The meeting room...
So now they're about to come to the human resources.
Is the last one on the right, and I'm afraid there's no natural daylight in the room. Then you'll need to know where some of the offices are. The Human Resources Department is at the front of this building. So you head to the left along the corridor from reception, and it's the second room you come to. It looks out onto the main road. And finally, the boardroom, where you'll be meeting sometime.
What actually made you get the answer for the human resource? Question 19. What is the answer for human resources? Question 19.
It's I.
Right, so how helped you to get the answer as I?
I think they said in the second room from the reception.
Okay. They also said something to qualify it again. All right.
You'll need to know where some of the offices room is the last one on the right, and I'm afraid there's no natural daylight in the room. Then you'll need to know where some of the offices are. The Human Resources Department is at the front of this building. So you head to the left along the corridor from reception, and it's the second room you come to. It looks out onto the main road. And finally, the boardroom, where you'll be meeting sometimes.
So, class, what did they say about the human resource?
The main road.
It's what?
It looks out onto the main road, the second room.
Okay.
Hi.
It looks out onto the main road. And there's a second room from where? Is it the reception?
Yes.
Exactly. So sometimes it's not necessarily you thinking only about cardinal points, but they will be saying some things to qualify some things. And it's the duty of you, the test taker, to perceive and know what actually they are talking about. Let's check the last one. I think that's the boardroom.
And it's the second room you come to. It looks out onto the main road. And finally, the boardroom, where you'll be meeting sometimes. That has quite a pleasant view as it looks out onto the trees. Go along the corridor past the courtyard right to the end. The boardroom is on the left, next to the factory. OK, now, are there any questions before we move?
All right. So how did you get the answer? What is the answer for the boardroom? Question 20.
It's A.
So how did he get it? What did he hear the woman saying about that? Yes, class. It's a general question to the whole class. What did you hear the woman saying about A?
He said it's left next to the factory.
Next to the factory. Sometimes even in as much as you haven't, Mr. Bento.
In the beginning to it, she talked about the having access to the trees. But I didn't get the exact statement she made there. I think that one was
Okay, let's listen to that again.
Room, where you'll be meeting sometimes. That has quite a pleasant view factory. OK, now, are there any questions before we move? Corridor past. And finally, you head to the left along the corridor from reception, and it's the second room you come to. It looks out onto the main road. And finally, the boardroom, where you'll be meeting sometimes. That has quite a pleasant view as it looks out onto the trees. Go along the corridor past the courtyard right to the end. The boardroom is on the left, next to the factory. OK, now, are there any questions?
Down around there, along the corridor. Mr. Bento.
That's a pleasant view as you look out to the trees or something like that. That one too is
Okay. What else did somebody also hear? Yes, Constance.
They said it looks out onto the trees.
And he also said something to qualify the factory. On the left, next to the factory. On the left, next to the factory. So class, you got to be sharp. You got to learn how to guess. But when you guess, it doesn't mean choose the answer automatically. You know, it means that you have perceived about the thing, that no matter what, this is what you're expecting the speaker to talk about or describe about this particular feature. The moment you hear the speaker saying it, just as you have guessed, that means it's the same thing you pondered over. That is the end of today's class on